I recently bought this 2000 Buell M2 from my friend who runs a shop called Brick House Builds. When he got it, it needed basically everything. Anything that could be wrong with it was wrong with it, and he did all the work necessary to get it going again. It's pretty okay for now. It just still needs tinkering and fine details and a paint job and probably a different seat. It looks decent from this far away and on video, but that paint job is just horrendous, and it's all flaking apart, coming apart, getting in the carburetor. One of the most noticeable things it needs, though, is a different exhaust. I'd like to have a factory stainless exhaust on this, like on my 2002 Buell S3. For instance, one of the things with the exhaust, for whatever reason, this had been cut and booger welded back up. It would be nice, I'm not going to throw this stuff away, it would be nice to save this stuff properly though and get a proper Buell muffler. I would like to put an original air box on it, even though they're big and bulky and might look bad, but they were engineered properly, better than just a little foam filter. And I'm going to do the Buell XB rocker box conversion on this like I did on my S3. I would say that really helped my S3 out, and I already have another set of XB rocker boxes, so I'll do it on here. The frame can stay black. I would like to do a paint job eventually, but that's not a top priority. I'd probably go closer back to stock with the tail light and everything. I rode behind this once, and the light was fairly difficult to see. But my friend at his shop, he did the brakes and the shock and the forks and all kinds of stuff. You should check out his videos. And I figured that since I bought this from him, this is an existing known project, I might as well keep the videos going on this. One issue with this bike is the speedometer doesn't work. The needle has not moved at all, and the miles have not accumulated. I'm going to do the easy thing first and swap out the speed sensor with one from my S3. I don't see how that would affect the odometer though, but maybe that would get the speedometer working. And then if I need to, I can swap out the speedometer unit as a whole. So the speedometer sensor is down by the transmission. This guy here, pretty easy to take off. One socketed cap screw on this and a wire. The manual says to take the seat and the tail fairing off. Let's see if I can just do it without taking the tail fairing off. Went on a ride with my friend when he was on this and I was on my S3, and the correct wing nut for the seat came off during that ride, so it's a shame. Not a big deal though. It's for a battery tender? That'd be nice. Didn't even know that it had one. I've been plugging it in with alligator clamps. This fitting is for the speed sensor. Thought I had it one-handed. Yep, there we go. I believe in my friend's video he even mentioned that this sensor had potentially some cut wires or some nicked wires. Not terribly dirty. Don't see any nicked wires. Maybe it was on the other end of the harness. Hopefully not. Same story on my S3 now. Gotta take this off. Gonna swap it over. Nice. So the wire harness has been kind of curled up. Will I be able to access it? So let's see, looks like the plug is down here. That was a bigger pain than it needed to be. This thing is zip tied, all coiled up, and to get it through a tight space was pretty annoying, but I got it. S3 speed sensor going in, if I can see. Okay, just got it hooked up. I think I have to take it for a ride now to see if that sensor brings life back into the speedometer. I don't have any way of capturing onboard video during a ride, but the speedometer started working. Not only the needle, but also the odometer and trip meter, which I was not expecting. Since I stole the speed sensor off of my S3 to go onto the M2, it's only appropriate that the new replacement speed sensor goes on my nice S3. I got this from St. Paul HD. Nothing too crazy here, just the opposite of the removal. Should be good. And this would be why they zip tied it coiled up a little bit. It's pretty long for where it is. Don't know why on my S3 it comes out down under the battery, and on the M2 it's kind of to the top of the battery. I'm not a huge fan of the way that lays in there like that. Hopefully I haven't affected anything by swapping that out. Let's see if it has a memory. Yep, looks like it. Yep. I guess I'll have to take it for a test ride, make sure the needle still moves. Well, no surprise, no OEM part works. The speedometer, trip meter, and odometer all work after replacing the speed sensor. Something else I noticed here is that the battery is held on with zip ties instead of the battery strap. This was in the box of parts. Don't know why it wasn't being used. The tab feels like it's in place. The previous owner did grind down this lip on the battery tray for some reason. Sorry about the terrible lighting, but the battery strap hold down tab is still there. It's just bent over. So if I bent that straight, I could put the factory strap back on. And just to verify my theory, yep, that strap goes straight back and that tab sticks out 90 degrees from the frame. So I should be straightening that tab on the M2. That's gonna fall off. The way the strap works is that fastener should be pointed straight back. This tab is clearly bent. Not cracked the powder coat as much as I thought it would. Hopefully I don't crack it a bunch going back. That's pretty well straight. 97% perfect. This corner has a little bit of a deformation on it. I could hammer that out, but I'd end up chipping the paint or powder coat wherever this is. I'm gonna leave that for now. Guess the strap is for a bigger battery. Well, crap. I have a hunch that this is the size of battery strap that I need. For reference, I'll be able to sleep at night now that I have this battery strap. I went to replace the clutch safety switch because it was like all jammed up. Well, I was gonna take it off, but then I found a new one in my parts stack. And I went to loosen it, and then it just starts working again. I would think that could go through a different route. Yeah. Well, what would it take to return the fender back to it? 2 fasteners on this side. Need a fastener there, not a zip tie. And there is a fastener up front. So my S3 uses the same type of fasteners for the tail section as the rear fender and belt guard. Looks like there's still one well nut left. I think I'll just replace it while I'm here. I'm gonna put the 4 well nuts back in. See, that's a match. 1/4 by 5/8, I believe. I couldn't find a good match for the Buell Torx button heads, so just got some hex, Allen heads, whatever you want to call them, the regular hex style. I figured that a steel colored washer is okay right here. We're not going to see it, it's under the seat. So I got a neoprene backed washer. The well nut will act as a cushion on the bottom side, and this will be a cushion on the top side. I mean, if you can get away with 2, it's probably fine to do 2, but there were 4 originally, so I'm putting the 4 on. I might look into making something like a dagger, pin, and a latch versus just a bolt. I think that's factory for the M2 to have just a bolt, or a thumb screw. But I like the actual latch on my S3. So I used 1-inch fasteners, and they're just poking out of the bottom of the well nut. I'm probably a dork for wanting to have the fender on. Seems like a lot of sport bikes don't. But I don't need all that stuff getting sprayed up onto the back of my transmission and engine and battery and wiring. So, install some well nuts. Don't think I have this guard, so I'll wait to install these well nuts until I confirm that. Turns out I did have a belt guard. The instructions say to have a friend sit on the seat as you tighten or loosen the fender fasteners. I found that if you lay your chest on the seat, you can grab the wheel and compress the suspension that way. Alright, so I have the fender on with the socket button heads. And I had a couple of the original Buell Torx, I think they're called truss head fasteners. So I put those on the belt guard. Today I'm going to replace the exhaust with a Force exhaust, new old stock. Wouldn't be my first choice, but the price was right and it was local. This is going to take a while. I knew that this was a loud exhaust, but maybe I'm not buying myself anything by installing it. I guess buyer beware, I should have looked at it closer. I'm thinking of a new invention that would prevent a situation like this. I'm going to call it bubble wrap. Maybe like little plastic bubbles that can just wrap around something. I thought of a solvent that probably will work. I can't keep doing this. This is a waste of a day to not do this. I'm gonna let it soak. This is so dumb. I'm wasting so much time on this. I guess it got a little cold last night. As you might be able to see in this lighting, this pipe is still covered in sticky stuff. I'm still cleaning it. Well, the lighting's not the best, but I'm just doing a wet sanding on this factory muffler before I put a fresh coat of black paint on it. Oh man, more masking tape. Cover it in some dirt and road grime and you'll never know. I'll do a little more wet sanding to knock off the fuzz. This is how masking tape is supposed to come off. Look at that. Wow, amazing. It's time to get rid of this flex pipe all the way up to the elbow clamp. I'm glad that I have this bracket. I'm gonna get rid of that exhaust. Well, I'm gonna get rid of that car style exhaust bracket. Ooh boy, that's pretty fancy. Not exactly sure what the story is with the rear bracket, but I can at least take off the front stuff. Bashed my hand so many times on that. I'll hang that on the wall. I'll save this. Of course, it looks like there's some shenanigans with this rear mount. Looks like something has been cut and re-welded. There's a weld there, and then there's a weld along this flat side on the other side. I'm gonna take this thing off. Might have to take this whole bracket off. So here's the custom mystery bracket. Man, that's beautiful. I like that one. Here's where the bracket lived. This rubber bushing isolator deal was pushed way inboard to meet that bracket. Taking a look at my S3 rear exhaust hanger. Now this is looking familiar. That's the Z bracket. Kind of forgot what went back there. I found this NOS one. If someone were smart, they'd be recreating these, because these are getting harder to find. Yep, that'll live right there. I'm just gonna take this bracket off. It's too annoying. And to do so, I have to move this to get to that. I'm gonna swing it on this by taking out that one and that one. Hopefully I can swing this bracket out of the way. There we go. By golly, I can slide it out of the way. Pretty difficult to do this one-handed. When you tap this one in, you gotta watch that oil line on the backside. All right, first start with the new muffler. It's probably gonna blow out a lot of dust and dirt and rust. So I just rode the bike in the rain to get an inspection and then to get a plate. No more riding dirty. She's now street legal.